Welcome to Maniac Movies, LLC. I'm back. I do updates, try to do Wednesdays and Fridays. I took some time off, but I also got a new camera. And I don't know how the audio is going to sound on this, so if it's screwing up your speakers, apologies. Anyway, I'm talking about The Women of King Kong. So, something interesting I noticed with the Godzilla vs. King Kong coming out, I went back and watched the older movies. And there's something really curious about the way King Kong interacts. Now, we all know the iconic image of King Kong grabbing the woman, climbing up the Empire State Building, or whatever. But the thing is that the way Kong interacts with his leading lady is very representative of the time in which the movie was released. So, and it's really kind of fascinating to look at when you step back from it, because I had never noticed this before, but it really shows with the 1976 version. So there are essentially four primary King Kong movies. There's 1933, the original, and that was the movie that started kaiju, actually. Godzilla King of the Monsters, or Gojira originally, was made because of the success of King Kong. Gojira means gorilla whale in Japanese. It was a direct attempt to capitalize on the success of King Kong. I don't know why they waited so long, but maybe the movie didn't get exported until then. I don't know. Well, it actually makes sense because we were at war with Japan in the 40s, so yeah, it actually is possible they didn't see King Kong until the 50s. I hadn't even thought about that. But yeah, so and then you have so they had the 1933 original, then you had the big budget 1970, I believe 76 remake, which was a Dino De Laurentiis production. Dino De Laurentiis, massively famous producer, did a ton of stuff. Serpico, Hannibal, Flash Gordon. I believe he was behind Conan the Barbarian. A lot of stuff, and it was directed by the guy who did The Towering Inferno. And then there was the 2005 version from Peter Jackson, big budget, really really long movie. And then we had Kong Skull Island just a couple years ago. So those are kind of the four main reboots of the franchise, and they're little sequels and offshoots from those movies like Son of Kong, King Kong Escapes, King Kong Lives, and none of those were considered to be very good. But the four primary ones are all kind of, at least regarded somewhat, well, I kind of. The one from, I'll get into that. But yeah, the thing is that, each movie has Kong fixated on a woman. Always blonde, blondish, Brie Larson, blondish. I believe Fay Wray was the star of the original. Then you had Jessica Lange in her first movie. Jessica Lange from all the early seasons of American Horror Story and the one from the 70s. Then you had Naomi Watts from The Ring and the one in the 2000s. And you had Brie Larson in Kong Skull Island. So the way Kong reacts to these women is very emblematic of the way men reacted to women in those times. Let me explain. And no, this isn't going to be some dumbass gender studies crap. I'm not interested in that. But what I'm interested in is that, so in the 30s, we were still a patriarchal society. A lot of people say we still are. We're not really, but fine, whatever. I'm not getting into that argument. But in the 30s, we inarguably were. Man ran the house, woman did the cooking, raised the kids. That's just how it was. That was really rigidly set up in those times, and men tended to look at women as something of a possession. It was my wife, and the women were kind of okay with it. Like, I'm his girl. Like, that was just the way the language worked at the time. And that is absolutely how King Kong responds to, I hope I'm getting her name right, Fay Wray? Her, the woman on the camera behind me. But, so he wants to take her. Now, it's not really clear what he wants her for. It's just, she's his. She's a pretty thing that he wants to possess. This is mine. And we see that with the fight with the Tyrannosaurus in that movie, where he's protecting her, but he wants to own her. It's not like he necessarily shows any particular affinity towards her. This is just his pretty thing. He doesn't want anyone else to have this pretty thing. This is his pretty thing. And that, like I said, that's very much the way men would have responded to women back then. He's like, I'm going to get her. Like, she will be mine. My wife. She will do what I say. Like, that kind of thing. So then you fast forward a few decades, get into the 70s, and the 70s is post-feminism, and but it's also post-sexual revolution. And in the 76 King Kong, Kong wants to fuck that girl. He wants to have sex with Jessica Lange. Now, on some level, he understands that that's not anatomically possible. Like, he never actually, well, he doesn't try to, but it does seem like maybe that was just interrupted by the giant snake. But yeah, Jessica Lange is very much a sexual object in that movie. The way she dresses, the way Kong responds to her, I mean, there's no question that Kong is sexually aroused by her. I mean, he straight up pulls her top off at one point, like for a yay boobies moment. And that movie's rated PG. That's remarkable that movie got a PG, because Jessica Lange is naked at least twice in that movie. 3 times if you count when she fell into the water. But, yeah, so he wants a sexual relationship. Again, this is post, women and men were both more open about sexuality. It wasn't just, like, I want to hold your hand. It's like, no, I want to put my dick in you. Like, and the women could say, yes, I want to have sex with you too. Like, it was open. Now, Jessica Lange doesn't seem sexually attracted to Kong, but she does respect him, and respect's probably not the right word. She feels for him. She feels for his loneliness, and she likes, or she responds well to the fact that he cares for her, and he does care for her. He protects her, and that final moment at the end, like he's very specifically protecting her. He wants her to be okay. It's a relationship, but it's a relationship based, or at least that begins with sexual attraction, specifically sexual attraction. So then you get into 2005. So we're well past feminism, women in the workplace, all that. So 2005, it's this like sweetly romantic relationship between Kong and Naomi Watts. It's actually, there's even one scene that they directly ripped off, homage, whatever you want to say, from Beauty and the Beast, where Kong and Naomi Watts are playing on the ice, and Kong is sliding around because he doesn't know what he's doing, and it's all cutesy. And I'm not a fan of the Peter Jackson King Kong movie, by the way. I really didn't like that movie. But yeah, like she does the little dance for him, and he thinks it's funny, and it's almost like they're flirting. Like he knocks her down, and it's like he laughs, like, and she's like, she tells him, no, don't do that, and he'll listen to her. Like it's a legit mutual relationship in that movie. So, it's actually kind of even. They treat each other with mutual respect. He's not just tearing her clothes off like in 1976. He's certainly not just grabbing her while she's screaming and dragging her around like in 33. He's, it's a real relationship. Then fast forward another 12 years, I think 2017 was Kong Skull Island. And Kong is like legitimate, and I like Kong Skull Island, by the way, but Kong is almost like, what do they say, a simp, like Beta, because he likes Brie Larson, but he doesn't really ever force it. Like she initiates contact with him. She puts her hand up so he can touch the hand. Like he's doing the whole if she likes me, she'll call me. I would be too forward to ask for her phone number. She'll come over here if she wants to talk. Like that kind of thing. Like Kong gets friend zoned in Kong Skull Island. Like he legit does. And so yeah, it's very representative of our current times, where they did a poll one time, and I think something like 40% of millennial men said that asking a woman out on a date could be considered a form of sexual harassment. So like Kong is very hands off. Like he lets Brie Larson kind of decide how much she wants to be around him, not the other way around. He's very subservient to her in that way. So yeah, it's interesting how that worked out. I like, because movies are a representation of the time in which they're made. A good example of that is Suicide Squad. Because Suicide Squad would have been in production for like 3 years. It was a big movie, so that Suicide Squad would have been very at home in the 2000s. But by the time it was released, it was actually kind of dated. So and everyone's like, this is like hot topic, like this, it was the very end of that particular time. So it seemed dated almost the minute it was released, because that kind of stuff was going out of style. Literally the moment Suicide Squad was released, all that stuff, like the getting a tattoo on your face, a fishnet style, like all that stuff that was in that movie was going on its way out, and people were, very vocal about that. Like this feels like mall goths, or like the kids that grew up watching Twilight. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting. As far as the movies go, I'd stay away from pretty much all the offshoots, like Son of Kong, like those movies are generally not well regarded. As far as the original King Kong is a solid for what it is and the time in which it was made. People who like really old movies, like production code era movies, which I actually think King Kong was pre-production code, because I remember reading that the fact that she doesn't wear a bra and you can clearly see her nipples wouldn't have flown with the production code. The production code was what we had before the rating system, and it was very strict. Like movies were just straight up outlawed if they went outside the range of the production code. So King Kong is a good classical era Hollywood movie. Now it's so dated by today's standards that it is hard to watch it as anything but a curiosity. But if you like older movies, it's a solid, and it is interesting just to kind of see the progression from King Kong to Godzilla King of the Monsters. Then the 70s King Kong, it's a solid movie. like the Peter Jackson movie, it's too long. It's over 2 hours, and it does not need to be. And there's not enough action in it. The Kong suit really looks like a guy in a gorilla suit, but the Kong face, though, is amazing. It is extremely articulate. It is a very good special effect. Like, it emotes really, really well, and the cast is really good in that movie. Jessica Lange's great in it. Jeff Bridges is fantastic in it. Jeff Bridges stars in it. And honestly, the best parts of the movie are just the scenes with Jeff Bridges acting. Like, he's giving a legit top-tier A-level performance in a giant monster movie. It's interesting, and it's worth watching just for his acting alone. But it's also really interesting because Jeff Bridges and Jessica Lange are literally the same age in that movie, and she looks 15 years younger than him. Like, she looks so young. It's crazy. She's I think almost 37. I think she was around 30 at the time, but she looks like she's barely legal. Like, this is a girl you would card if you were at a bar. So, but it's interesting, and it's just a little too long, and there's not enough action. There's some really dated stuff, like Kong fighting with the snake looks like a guy wrestling with a rubber snake. The Peter Jackson movie I didn't like. I didn't like it at all. It was way, 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 way too long. It had some really stupid stuff, like people running the same speed as velociraptors. That fight with the Tyrannosaurus goes on for so long, it feels like its own subplot. The characters, all the characters except for Naomi Watts, are really boring and forgettable. Jack Black is really miscast in that movie. Like, Jack Black can only be two things. He can be Jack Black, like the funny, happy stoner, or he can be a flamboyantly gay murderer. If anyone saw Bernie, he's actually really good in Bernie, but I've never seen him do a good performance in anything else, and he's really bad in that movie. So yeah, the Peter Jackson King Kong movie is pretty damn bad, I thought. But some people loved it, so man. And Kong Skull Island's a great creature feature. It's a really fun, cool movie. It's got an awesome cast: Samuel L. Jackson, Brie Larson. I know people are mad at Brie Larson, but she's a good actress, whether you like her or not, as a person. John Goodman's in that one. John C. Reilly. It's got a really good cast, and it's a cool. It pushes the PG-13 limit, like the original, like the '70s King Kong. It feels like this is almost an R. Like, that's the same for Kong Skull Island. It feels almost R-rated. But anyway, I just kind of burned through all the old Kong movies because the Godzilla vs. King Kong came out, so I was in the mood to revisit them, and I felt like, I'll do this as kind of a quick little video just to test out the camera, see how the audio works, see how the image works, and see if this even worked, and if it didn't, then I'll never even post this. Anyway, I'll do an update Wednesday. I may do one later tonight if I feel like doing a video and if this recording actually works. Anyway, see ya.